So you've got this killer app idea, right? But then you hit that wall. I'm not a coder. Well, guess what? That wall is starting to look a lot more like a speed bump. Today, we're jumping into something called vibe coding. It's a whole new world that's letting people with great ideas, well, build them without needing to be a programming genius.
And this whole idea, this term vibe coding, it comes from AI researcher Andrej Karpathy. He basically described it as, well, coding where you forget the code even exists. It's less about writing lines and more about, just giving the AI the vibe of what you're trying to build and letting it run with it.
Okay, so what is this thing really? Simply put, vibe coding is you talking to an AI in plain English and the AI spitting out the actual code. It's like, instead of being the actor who has to memorize every single line, you're the director. You know the story, you know the vision, and you're just telling this super talented actor, the AI, what to do.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Imagine building a real, working app just by describing what you want. This completely flips the script. The most important skill isn't knowing Python or JavaScript anymore. It's being creative. It's being able to clearly explain your idea. You're not the coder, you're the visionary, the director.
All right, so that's the what, but let's get to the why. Why is everyone talking about this? Why is it such a potential game changer?
Well, the biggest reason is just insane speed. We're talking about huge productivity boosts. Some R&D teams are saying they're getting things done up to 50% faster. 50%! Stuff that used to take weeks of grinding can now be whipped up into a working prototype in like a few hours.
And the benefits they're huge. It's not just about going faster. It's about opening the doors to everyone. It's democratizing the whole process of building software. Suddenly, anyone with a cool idea can actually build it without that giant, frustrating wall of code standing in the way.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract idea. There's this tech journalist, Danny Fortson, zero coding background, okay? And he built 2 playable video games in 40 minutes. 40. He said it felt as mind-blowing as using the internet for the first time. That's the kind of shift we're talking about here.
Okay, so this is the part I'm really excited about. Let's talk about how you can actually start doing this right now, today. If you're someone who's always been curious but felt locked out, this is for you. And trust me, it's way easier to get started than you think.
So the whole workflow is kind of like a conversation, a back and forth. You start by just describing your idea. The AI then comes back with a plan, like a blueprint. And this is key. You get to tweak that plan before it even writes a single line of code. Then, boom, it builds your prototype. You play with it, you test it out, and then you just give it more feedback. Hey, can you change that button to blue? You know what? Let's add a login screen. It's this constant loop of refining your idea.
And look, you don't have to go out and try to build the next Instagram on day one. Start small. Think about a simple tool that would make your life easier. We're seeing people build all sorts of cool stuff, like a little app that suggests recipes based on what's in your fridge, or a custom to-do list, or even a simple landing page for a side hustle. These are the perfect kinds of projects to get your feet wet.
Now, what's really cool is that the tools to do this are popping up everywhere, and a lot of them have free options to get you started. You've got platforms like Lovable, Replit, Bolt. These things let you build apps right in your web browser. No complicated setup, no installations. You can literally just sign up and start building something in minutes.
Okay, so to really get what makes vibe coding special, it helps to zoom out a bit and see where it fits in the whole AI universe. Because you hear about chatbots, you hear about AI agents. How is this different?
And this slide breaks it down perfectly. Think about it like this. Conversational AI, like a chatbot, is for getting information. You ask it, what's the weather? Vibe coding is for creation. You tell it, build me a weather app. And then you've got agentic AI, which is for action. That's like saying, hey, find me all the bugs in this app's code, fix them, and then submit the changes for review. See the difference? One gives you an answer, one is your creative partner, and the last one is like an autonomous employee.
So all of this brings us to the big million-dollar question, right? Especially if you're one of those people who's always felt like coding was for someone else. Is this worth your time? Should you actually learn how to do this?
And to answer that honestly, we've got to look at both sides. There's the dream, this incredible promise of building anything you can think of. And then there's the reality of what the tech can actually do right now.
So let's break it down. For every awesome pro, there's a con you need to know about. Yes, it's insanely fast. Yes, it's super empowering for non-coders, but the code it spits out can sometimes be a little wonky or even have security holes. And trying to fix bugs in code you didn't write, that can be a real headache. That's why for any really big, serious project, you still need a human expert in the loop.
And we've got to be real about the skepticism out there.
Some pretty smart people, like Daniel Jackson over at MIT, are worried. They're warning that if we rely on this stuff too much, we could end up with a digital world just full of broken, insecure apps, built by people who have no idea how to actually fix the mess the AI created.
So, what's the final verdict? If you're that curious non-coder we've been talking about, what's the takeaway here?
All right, here's the bottom line. Vibe coding is an amazing tool for getting your ideas off the ground. For building quick prototypes, for personal projects, it's a game changer. But, and this is a big but, it's not a replacement for a skilled developer on a big, complex, production-ready app. The best way to think about it is like a superpower. It lets you do incredible things, but you're still the hero who has to be in charge and make the smart decisions.
When you step back, what's really happening here is that AI is creating a whole new kind of creator. The focus is shifting away from the technical how-to and onto the creative what-if. The barrier to get started has literally never, ever been lower. So the real question for you isn't, can I code anymore? The question is, what am I going to create?